Here's a conversation about hustle culture. Greg and I work together. He's my business partner in a couple of ventures, and I've known him for almost a decade now. And we talk about this a lot. We talk about how to uncover more time with our family, how to really focus on the things that matter in our lives and not let our businesses overtake that. So this is a interesting conversation about um, hustle culture and how it is both negative and can be positive at the same time. So let's see what you think.
Welcome to the Warrior Mindset Podcast. We're your guide as you make your way through life, getting better 1% every day. We believe that life is lived and true victory won through adversity. Nothing easy is ever worth it. We believe in the warrior ethos and support those that choose to walk that path.
So you asked me about hustle culture the other day. You sent me a link, Time Magazine link, about how we don't take
NPR.
Thank you. NPR.
Public radio, dude. Get it straight.
I don't listen to public radio. I probably should. About how we don't take vacations in America.
Yeah.
When was the last time you took a vacation?
I took a week off back in July, and then we do, we kind of we like 2 to 3 to 4 day sort of little weekends.
Me too.
Like I like sort of anchoring. There's something kind of magical and instantly awesome about a short week.
Right?
Like, yeah,
It's like found time.
like 100%.
Like
You're
found-
like, oh, how do I fit
yeah.
5 days worth of work into 4 days?
Eureka. And you realize you can do that.
I think that's kind of why we're fucking talking today.
I think so.
Yeah, it's that mentality here. So, but we're working for it this year, and so
Yeah.
I was feeling out of sorts a couple weeks ago, and I listened to this great NPR. I think it was Planet Money, and they were, they're nerdy economists, so it had really nothing to do with like hustle culture, but it had everything to do with it. So if you listen to it, we'll drop it in the show notes. But so essentially, what it said was, of all the rich countries in the world, there is only one country that does not have mandatory federal rules requiring time off. Guess which rich country it is? America.
Yeah.
America. So,
well, let's talk about that for a second, because I have family in Europe.
mm-hmm.
How, like, that'll never happen here, right? They can't make you. I mean, they can mandate you to take time off. Like, your employer has to give you time off, but they can't mandate that they pay you for it. I mean, sure they could.
I'm sure they could. I don't.
But how does it work? I mean, what if you can't afford it?
I don't think it matters.
Yeah.
I think that's not why we're here today.
No, it's not. But it's
what the episode was really about, and what I took away from it. And y'all should listen to it. Drop in the show notes again. It was not only that is a symptom of what is an overall culture that values work and output more than it values the other things that matter in life. And so there's some good stats in there, and they got into the labor economics of it. And but what stuck with me was not only do we not have this like countrywide mandate, which I'm fine with. I agree. It's sort of against this rugged individualism that we have here. But people that have time off, that have vacation, that have these unlimited PTOs aren't taking them. In general, as a country, we are not taking breaks.
Right.
We're not taking breaks. And so, so they got into it a little bit, what the implication of that is. So yes, we are one of the most productive countries on the planet, but at what cost?
Like where my wife works, they only allow you to carry over so many days per year that you have time off.
Right.
And it's like, why do you have any left over at the end of the year? But then I'm like, shit, we haven't we don't take breaks. You have a ton. She's carrying over like 40 days a year. So it's a whole month that you didn't take off.
So we're at the bottom of that
Yeah.
list. We're at the top of the list though for the opposite, which is
heart attacks, divorce, murder.
Well, some of those things too, but staying close to this hustle culture concept.
Yeah.
Most number of unused vacation days in the world,
Yeah.
the United States.
Believe it.
What's up with that, y'all?
Let's define it. Hustle culture. I looked it up. Hustle culture is when a workplace environment places an intense focus on productivity, ambition, and success with little regard to rest, self care, or any sense of work life balance.
Yeah, that's really clinical. I would say accurate, but clinical. So we should expand that to say, I think a value, a cultural value that an individual or an organization has.
Well,
Because we hang out with lots of rugged individualist, solo
startups. We kind of carry this definition: overworking is a good thing. It's you're pushing your business, you're growing something, right? We sort of hold those people in high regard, right? If they're like, well, he's got a startup and he's like, he's hustling, he's making it work, he's burning the midnight oil doing. We're like, attaboy.
Yeah.
That's sort of like our thing. Right?
Yeah. And I mean, listen, there's nothing wrong with working hard. And in fact, it's a value that I have. Like I take pride in the fact that I work hard and that I do meaningful stuff.
But I think it gets toxic when you work hard and then you don't care about anything else.
I think that is the reason that we fucking hate hustle culture.
Yeah.
If we had to put put our finger on it, it's that.
Yeah.
It's this, that we have so many external factors, society, financial obligations, and then internal factors, right? Fear, lack of self-worth that are driving us to define this as the thing that gives me value in my life.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to work.
Yeah.
I'm a hustler.
Yeah, man.
This is what I do. This is how we build stuff. This is how we grow. These are the kind of people I want on my team. And I think that it is not black and white. Hustle culture. There are some values within that have meaning and purpose. And
I looked it up and I found a Time magazine article, and it was like positive. It was like, hustle is awesome, and it was like 3 things to do to get into the hustle mindset.
Sure.
And it was like, okay, I get it. But then there was the same amount of like articles that were like, this is not good.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you're listening out there, we're not saying fuck hustle culture. We are saying fuck some of the elements that drive you to do nothing other than work.
Yeah.
Because that is unhealthy and that don't last.
No. It'll kill you.
It'll kill you. It will kill you.
Literally make you sick. I think that's probably, I think we've talked about it before, but like, while we were all sort of locked down, over COVID-19 days, we kind of like were forced to not, we were like, America was forced to do nothing.
Yeah.
And so then we get all these residual things like quiet quitting and like people leaving jobs and, I think it's maybe like
and work from home.
Yeah, like a ripple effect from just being forced to like sit your ass at home for a month. And then you're like, I kind of like it.
So, I mean, I think it would be, I want to talk about this with folks out there. I mean, why do we feel this incessant need to hustle? And let's, if you're watching, I am raising my hand and I am saying, I work too much. I work too much. I know I work too much.
Yeah, I do too.
Like, some days I'm totally fine with it because I feel like I'm making progress and I have a vision for where I'm going with my life and my family and all that. And then other days I'm like, fuck this work.
Why am I doing this?
Fuck.
Yeah.
Why am I doing this? And so, like with all things, we're not fucking experts at anything. I'm cussing a lot today, y'all.
He's excited.
Yeah, I'm a little fired up about this and some other life stuff today. So, but like, we all suffer from this at varying stages. I have met very few people in my life that don't have a healthy or unhealthy tension between work and the rest of their existence.
And people's tolerances for it are all different, right?
Yeah.
It's another.
Yeah.
It's sort of like a spectrum, where you are currently.
Without a doubt. Some people can handle and absorb a shit ton of work and they're okay with it. Maybe. short to midterm,
Yeah.
maybe long term, they're killing themselves. And then other people are just can't handle that speed, intensity, or
Yeah.
anything else. And
Right.
that's a whole other sort of cool, like cultural value thing. Like,
Well, I mean, that was part of, like, before we started, you were talking about, like, how to look at this in terms of a team, like you're building a team or whatever. I mean, you've gone through that. You brought someone in as an employee, and they, like, were kind of just not up to the speed that everybody else in the organization was working at, right?
yes, and that, and that wasn't, they couldn't hustle like
Yeah,
we could
yeah. It doesn't mean
hustle.
they're a
It
bad
was
person.
different. It was
Yeah,
different. It was a different view and orientation on work.
right.
Um, but I mean, I read a lot about like wellness, and I'm trying to be a good student of those things,
Mm,
um, and I find myself in this interesting sort of f- place of friction between this vision for my life and where I want it to be, and a vision for a lot more wellness,
yeah.
right? A lot more hiking and climbing and
Hmm.
taking my son camping and like being active and fit, which is where I am absolutely my happiest.
Yeah.
I'm happiest there. I'm happiest serving and helping people like in a meaningful way, like really moving the needle on someone's life. Um,
Mm,
and then I wake up most days and I find myself not doing that stuff every day.
yeah.
And that's fine, right? I have work that's meaningful, and I enjoy what I do, and I
Yeah.
have great relationships, and we do good work. But I think there's this like disconnect between where we are and what we do every day, for a lot of folks, including me. Not maybe not so much anymore. I feel like I am on my path for the most part, but and where we want to be,
Yeah.
and I think it would be interesting to just unpack
Yeah.
why do people feel this way?
Good.
Why do people feel like they have to work all the time?
Mhm.
Really?
Yeah, I get that. Do you find yourself, let's get into that why. Do you find yourself, when you finally find time for yourself, or you're with your family on a vacation or whatever, you find yourself thinking about work? Does it tug you? Does it pull back on you?
It
Or are you
used
able to
it
kind of shut it out?
it used to.
Yeah, me too.
It used to. I used to be a slave to the,
Yeah.
and we're in client services. We serve people,
Oh, yeah.
all day long in varying ways. I used to be like, can't miss a message.
Mhm. Yep.
And I don't know, probably sometime around COVID, I was like, this, why am I like
In
this?
in Carl Smith's bureau membership Slack, it's like a running joke, because it's all people who do what we do. They're agency owners,
Yeah,
studio owners. It's like a running joke through all the Slack channels that, like, well, I'm on vacation, taking my laptop. Like, it's like a known thing that everyone's going to wake up before their family does, answer emails and talk to their team, and
right.
then put it away for the afternoon,
Like, when did
and then
that
come back. I
become okay?
mean, it's like a known thing.
When did your family
They're second.
when did answering someone's email
Yeah.
or responding to a request so that you can retain a client or
Yeah.
make that extra dollar, when did that take precedence over the value of quality time with people
I
that you love?
think it starts because, like, if I think back to me, let me start by saying I can't, with the exception of the last two vacations that me and my family took. We went to Alaska, went to Colorado over the past 2 years, two different times. I knew shit as far as work for either one. It was glorious. But before that, we'd taken 8 or 10, big trips. We always try to take a big trip every year. I can't remember one where I didn't work, but I think it starts from a business owner or an entrepreneur standpoint. I've never been anything else, so I can't, it's my experience. It starts with, we'll have to protect this thing,
Sure.
and
100%.
while my family's
There's
mad at
fear.
my
There's
while
fear.
my family's mad at me, I'm doing it because I have to keep it going so that they can get more of these things that we're doing right now. Like, that's the story I was telling myself.
So like the family is still number
That's how I
one.
validated it.
The family is still number one, but
Yeah.
the needing to
This is just the price
retain
I
and
have
grow
to
the
pay.
business is what I have to do
It's the price.
to put my family
Yeah.
first.
Yep. But what I realized was that was just validation. It's just validation. I mean, you can tell them, "Hey, I'll be back in 2 weeks." And, 9 out of 10 people are like, "Okay, cool. Talk to you in 2 weeks." Like, most people get it,
Yeah. So back on that
because
why.
they're the same as you.
So there's the fear. It feels like
Yeah.
for a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
of folks it's fear.
100%.
I'm going to lose my job
Oh,
if I'm
yeah.
not there every day, or
Or you're new in the process of building something. You're like, I can't lose momentum or
right,
whatever.
or the fear of losing
Whatever it
momentum,
is.
or the fear of losing a client, or the
Mhm.
fear of missing an opportunity. I feel like that thread runs pretty deeply in
Yeah.
this narrative of the
You
hustle
really feel it.
culture.
Yeah.
Um, I wonder why people have those fears. I mean, I think they're real for the I mean, for the
Well, I mean, yeah.
just to be upfront about it. I think fear is a is a real thing.
Well, let's face it. We're like you said, we're in a services business. It's important to take care of your clients.
Right.
If it happens to fall when you're out of town, well, it's when it falls. Like it's a real thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I used to be nonstop
Yeah.
on the super responsive,
Dude, me too.
like telling our clients we love them.
Yeah.
We show
Mhm.
them that by being super responsive, and I
Mhm.
think we're still pretty good at that.
Yeah.
But in the last couple of years post COVID, I have gotten much better
Yeah.
about putting that shit down and removing that distraction from my being
Yeah.
present for whatever the thing is. So I give you some examples, and we're jumping right in. But like, when I coach soccer, anything that I have to do where it's active, I just don't even bring the phone because it's like driving. It's checking your messages while it's just inherently
Mhm.
dangerous.
Yeah.
You can't drive well and do other stuff. You can't be actively and presently engaged in something and actually have your mind elsewhere. And I have caught myself in conversations, even like when you and I are like in a meeting,
Mhm.
we're talking about something, checking my
Oh, I
phone,
do it too.
and I'm like,
I
I
constantly
don't
do it.
remember what he just said. Like,
Yeah.
this idea. So for me, it's this idea of being
Then you feel dumb.
focused
You're
and
like,
intentional about it. But this fear is real, and I think so. I want to unpack some shit
do
around
you
that.
do you think that that hustle or I keep using that word, but like that whole scenario we just talked about, do you think that gives you a sense of control over the thing you're scared of? Right? I think that's what we're like if I'm worried and I'm gonna respond to a client whenever I shouldn't be, but it's like I'm responding because I'm thinking, well, this is me controlling it.
How do I prevent this from getting out of control?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of fear driving it.
Okay.
I, I think there are some tangible, real things on the other side of that fear.
And where did yours come from?
Traditionally, money.
Okay.
Yeah, and we've talked about this before.
You like your relationship with money?
Um, the for years I had a scarcity mentality with money.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe even today.
Okay.
Right? Like,
What does that mean? Define that.
so there's the scarcity and the abundance
Okay.
mindset.
I got you.
So the abundance mindset says it's everywhere.
Right.
There's capital everywhere. You just have to know how to access it. There are dollars being spent everywhere. You just have to figure out how to capture some of those dollars. We can always make more money.
Yeah.
Like, we can. There are opportunities abound. Right. We just have to keep our eyes open and be present and go after some of that. And then there's a scarcity mentality, which is like, this is all we got.
If I don't do this
We got
one
to
thing,
protect it. We got to save it. It's
yeah.
hard to get.
Right.
For whatever reason, my socioeconomically or otherwise, I have limited access to this stuff.
Mhm.
You got to get yours.
I think you could
You got to
probably
get yours because someone else will. So it's this scarcity mentality. And
yeah.
so for years, I mean, I had a scarcity mentality with money and relationship with me because I had there was scarcity. It's financial scarcity in my
Did you
youth.
I was
growing
gonna say,
up.
did you
Oh
grow
yeah,
up that way? Yeah.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. We,
Right.
we grew up, we were upper middle class, and then my parents got divorced. Things ended badly.
Yeah.
And we stayed with my mom, and
Got tough.
we lost everything. Yeah. I
Mhm.
mean, at 12, we went from, essentially having a dream neighborhood and a dream house, bucolic, cul-de-sac, neighborhood skateboards, riding around without anything, beautiful house, to losing it to foreclosure 1 year later after the divorce, and moving around until I went to college, frankly,
Right.
every year from apartment to apartment because they wouldn't renew our lease because we owed them money.
Right.
So I took that with me, and it's taken years to unpack that.
I know quite a few people that have gone through a childhood of their parents struggling, and then now they kind of like really bust their ass every day.
So that work ethic, some of that work ethic is good, and I got it from my parents because they both worked really hard.
But most of it's fear driven.
A lot of it has been fear driven,
Right.
and only until recently has it not been a principal driver of what I do. And mostly that is because my wife and I, through fits and starts, sometimes painfully, went through a process of essentially transforming our financial lives, getting out of debt, making smarter decisions with our money, and some of these other things. So we just sort of got to the point where while it is still a very important topic,
it's not consuming you.
It's not consuming me.
Right.
Yeah. And so, but we're different.
Yeah.
We're weird. The rest of the world is broke. The rest of the world is in debt. The rest of the world is living paycheck to paycheck. We know these things are facts.
Right.
Go look it up. And I think that fear and then this culture of like acquiring more things is a signal to the rest of the world that you have made it are fucking toxic.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of why we have a
that's all social validation too. I mean, that's a thing.
Yeah. I mean,
that's a probably from the same sort of origination.
I mean, I know folks that literally work 12-hour days. They're quote unquote building something, growing something. And there is no end in sight, and they make a ton of money.
Yeah.
They spend every fucking penny they make.
Yeah.
And then I know people who do work too. They have professional ambitions, all these things, but they work well within the sort of healthy parameters.
Right.
They live below their means. Like I know people that live on $20,000 a month. And then I know people that live on 3.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something. And I do a lot of financial coaching.
Yeah.
I work with a lot of folks. While the people that live on 3 don't really have all those nice things,
you don't really need them.
They almost all are way happier with their lives. So I don't know.
Yeah, you don't need all that shit.
I don't.
I mean, I'm saying we, like the royal universe.
No.
We don't.
Humanity
really
does not. But I mean, if that's your thing and that's how you get value out of your life, go for it. It's fine.
Sure.
Like it's fine. It's not for me.
Yeah.
So this hustle culture thing it is real. It's an epidemic, and there's a reason that we have more people getting mental health counseling now than ever before. More incidents of emotional and mental instability and challenges, depression. Mm-hmm. It's not solely because of hustle culture by any means. I'm not saying that, and I'm not clinically certified in any way to speak about this, but there's a general feeling that is unwell in this place.
You see it online for sure. You see it in social media. You can tell when it's not real.
I've been reading up on these blue zones.
The blue zone.
Have you don't know that? Okay.
No,
so
I've never heard the term.
For Gene, who I'm shocked by this, I'm sure you know the blue zones. And for everyone else, there are these places around the world.
I find that there's a lot of stuff that has just different names.
Sure. So there are these places around the world where there's a high concentration of people that have reached the age of 100, centenarians, they call them.
Okay, I got you. Yeah.
Right.
There's a Netflix special about that same topic.
There is. And there's tons of things that have been written, and there's studies about these folks. Blue zones, they call them. They're places where people live a long time. and so, if you read or watch any of these things, the whole idea, the whole question is, okay, well, how do they do this? And these are places like Italy. There's like, the coastal communities in Italy. Costa Rica's on there. There's one blue zone in California, I think. There's places in East Asia that are blue zones. So there's a number of them around the world.
Okinawa is a blue zone. That's the show I saw.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, okay, well, what is it? Like, why do they have so many healthy older people there? And I remember sort of digging into one. I think it was either in Sicily or Sardinia, one of these regions sort of in or around Italy. And they were like, they have stress in their lives.
Yeah.
But it's not chronic.
That's a good word.
They eat all kinds of stuff. They eat a lot of food, but it's not horrible for them. Every day they do their work, and then every day they go down the hill into the village, right, and grab a glass of red wine with their friends, right, and so
shut that shit off.
And there's this idea of a different way of looking at what creates value in your life. And here's the thing that I think really makes me sad. I know in me, if I had the choice, I would rather be on a trail. hiking
Sure.
or, in a kayak paddling
Right.
or, playing with my son or spending time with my absolutely beautiful wife.
Mm-hmm.
But still, I show up every day. And I think the rest of the world, for the most part, if they're being really honest with themselves, would probably agree with that.
Yeah.
They'd rather be doing something else. And so there's this disconnect. So they're like, well, I'm not where I want to be. So I got to work harder. I have to work harder.
So that one day I can turn
So
it
one
off
day,
and then
so
go
that
do
one
the
day
other
I can
things.
go, I can go to, I can do this other stuff.
That's the trick, though. It'll never be a one day.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there will be. I mean, maybe you're able to achieve that goal and stay focused on that path. But
you'll also be 70.
Yeah. And
I mean, no offense to
so anyway, these blue
retirees,
zones
but-
they're not about like getting to retirement. These people live full, rich lives every day, or at least they try to. And I think they avoid some things that we're just like, bring it on. All access,
Well, I
baby. Give
find
me all
it-
the stress you can give me.
I find it interesting that because I looked in, I took a deep dive on another show with the whole quiet quitting, phenomenon thing, and really those people were like, "Hey, I'm just gonna do what you're paying me to do." Was really the message. It was like, you pay me to do X, Y, and Z. I'm gonna show up on time and I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z. Then when my day's done, I'm gonna go home. And we vilified it. Like as a country, we're like, you're goddamn lazy, doing the bare minimum. It's like, well, it's not about doing the bare minimum. It's about like not losing my fucking mind,
Yeah.
doing a bunch of shit for you that you're not paying me to do. Like, but even saying that, like in the back of your mind, and what I'm saying it in the back of my mind, I'm like, you sound like a pansy. You need to just get up and work. Like, what is that? Like, it's totally cool to just like,
hey man, no prizes. No prizes for just coming in.
right. I mean, it's
Where
totally
you
cool
should
to
come in.
just do your job. Like, what's wrong with that?
So,
But that's the whole point, is that like, I think you can live that way. I think you can live that way. I think you can do what you got to do and then go the fuck home.
yeah, I
I
mean,
think you can.
I think it's harder when you do work that you have a sort of a mission orientation towards. We're helping change lives, or we're helping to serve people. We're helping people move to the next level. When it's mission
Some of
centered,
that bullshit though.
I think some of it is.
I think a lot of it is. Like it's just branding.
Well, I will tell you this.
I
I couldn't do work that wasn't connected to purpose and mission.
Sure.
And it needs to, for me, it needs to be, that means
Right.
when I'm done with a day or a week or a month or a year, people need to be better. The people that have been around
Yeah.
need to be better.
Yeah.
Whether that's investing in a team member or
Right.
or taking a client relationship to the next level, or like really helping them fix stuff.
I will tell you, I've enjoyed that over the past, I don't know, 2 or 3, 4 years, where like at the company you and I work on together day in and day out. I've really enjoyed like getting to know our clients better and just talking with them, Like I like that part of it. And you're like, really? I do. I mean, I like that fact that like we know these people, because for the first 10 or 15 years of running this business, I was very much like, give me your money. Here's your website. Goodbye. Like
Yeah.
next.
Yeah.
I don't want to I don't give a shit about your kids. Like we're just doing this thing and we're going. I was very much there. And you know what? I was an asshole at home too. Like I think that in the result of that, and then like, oh, I'm on a trip with the family. I got to work on this shit. Like it put me in this mindset of like, it's just, there's X's and O's, whatever. But I think you can look at your business that way. I think you can.
I guess what I'm saying is this: for me, and I bet for a lot of other folks.
I'm saying, I think maybe that's simple enough.
What do you mean?
You're just helping these people, you're solving their problems. You're helping them. Like that can be simple enough. You know what I mean? We don't have to affect the whole world.
Yeah,
You know what I
without a doubt. That's sort of like a goal you can never hit.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like
that can be good
it's
enough.
cool.
Yes. But I think it's important to be like, define how you get value out of your work.
Yes.
Right. Because for me, I don't want to, I could never like sell mortgages or something like that.
And that's the thing. I remember
You know what
doing
I mean?
a project for make me sound like an asshole, but it was like, I didn't quite get it. It was like, well, they got like 4 or 5 different businesses we need to do websites for. Cool. Sell a contract for 4 or 5 websites. Turns out it was like a predatory lending company.
Yeah.
And then after 3 websites in, like I finally slowed down to read the copy and I was like, these people sound evil as fuck. We can't finish this project, And I was like, wait, too damn late now. You got to finish it. But like, Yeah,
but I think
I
back on this
couldn't do
hustle
that. Could
culture,
not do that.
okay, fair, right? And that's a good thing. That is a good
Thank
thing.
you.
Just to be clear, that is a good thing.
Yeah.
We need to have
I
integrity,
couldn't sell
people.
cigarettes,
Yeah,
like, I
right.
just wouldn't.
But the other side of that coin is, I mean, I lean heavily into this, like, impact over income.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And I wonder
I think the income.
openly if that orientation, like, service is just a part of my core value, is
Mhm.
my in my DNA, whether that makes it harder for me to stop working. I
Yeah,
wonder some
I
days
think so. Yeah.
if I could remove myself a little more emotionally from the work that I do,
That's the rub with
I
that.
wonder whether it wouldn't be easier to sort of dial back this evil little hustle culture voice in my head. If I didn't care so much, I could probably care about other things.
Yeah.
Like showing up on time to my son's soccer games.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Like, I wonder if it's not harder to put the work down and to work your ass off
mm.
if it's something you actually don't have some deep passion for.
Yeah.
And because everyone else is like, follow your passion. And I
I
feel
like
personally for me, that probably makes it
Yeah.
hard for me to stop because part of my value, like my self-worth is
Yeah.
tied up in this work that I do.
Yeah. What happens
Without
if
a doubt.
your passion is whiskey?
Then you should
He's an alcoholic.
Christian Nemi and start a
Yeah.
Great American Whiskey Fair.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
But you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
I mean, I wonder how much of this is fear driven. I wonder how much of this is tied up in self-worth. I know for men, at least,
That's what I was gonna
a
say.
lot,
How much of it is just bullshit you're telling yourself?
but it's not bullshit if it's what you believe. And
Yeah.
I think that might be the problem,
Yeah.
that um as a man, you're expected to provide in
Mhm.
a traditional
Yep.
view of gender roles.
Absolutely.
Which I mean, I think we should live in an equitable world, and you should get value where you find value. But traditionally, it was like, you got to make the money, you got to be a good
Yeah.
partner and be present. And whether it's fear or it's a connection back into to what society has told you is you should be valuing in your own life.
Mhm.
I mean, it's the same thing. I mean,
Mhm.
is a dad that works his ass off. This will be interesting. All the time,
Yeah.
brings home a lot of money and takes care of his family financially, um, to the point where his partner doesn't have to work, and the kids get everything that they need and more. But he's never present. Which is worse, that or a dad that doesn't bring in any money but is present and is active and is invested in their lives, but they don't have enough money to live. Which one's better?
I don't think either one's I think they're equally on the same level.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah,
This
but
idea of like,
I got you, man. I grew up my dad worked hard. He had a full-time job and he worked a farm. He owned a farm. And for most of the time he was working. I'm not gonna say he wasn't there. He was there as much as he could be, but he was working. He was either at his job or he was out doing something. Right. And if I wanted to spend time with him, I had to go out and do things with him, you know? I don't know where I'm going with that other than like I think that's a like a traditional, like if you grew up in the early 90s, 80s before that, that was how it was. I mean, if you had a mom and a dad in your house, I think that's how it was. I think you spent more time with your mom than with your dad.
sure.
Um, it's probably, I didn't grow up now because I'm older, but like I imagine it's probably split, you know?
Well, I mean, we have so many
I'm
families
sure
with
there are
a
people
dual
growing up
income.
where they don't see either parent, you know? Um, my point is that I think that can create more of this, what we're talking about, more of the scarcity mindset, whether it's with time or money or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know. We're seeing a lot of what's the term? Gen Z, Gen Y, whatever the newer one. I forget all the new shit because I only know mine. But um,
Old guy podcast.
2000s and up, people born 2000s and up,
Mhm.
they are, if you read shit on the internet, they are putting a premium on their time, right? And so we get things like quiet quitting and
Mhm.
job hopping or whatever all this stuff you can look on social media anytime. You can see 1,000 podcasts and posts about that. They tend to value their time more than I think we put a premium on our time.
And I'm wondering if they're not right.
I think they are. I think they are. You know, and my point is that we're looking at them going, "You just look lazy." How many times do you hear someone who's older talking about Gen Z don't know shit and they can't work? You know, I don't think that's the case at all.
Well, you shared that Reddit link, which was I fucking hate how hustle culture acts like it is wrong to have hobbies
Right.
for enjoyment
Right.
or for not turning a talent into work,
Yeah.
and just letting it be something you're good at that you don't earn income around.
I just did. It was a dude, and I'm gonna go back on everything I just said because he's actually 2 years older than I am. But we went to high school together, and he makes things out of wood. He made this thing right behind me. It was a gift, and then I commissioned and make another piece, and I paid a lot of money for it. And I was like, man, I could help you build a website. You could sell these things everywhere. You make $1 million. And he was like, he looked me dead in the eyes. He's like, I don't care. I just do it for fun. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And I was like, looking at him like, the fuck is wrong with you?
Yep.
And then as I was driving away, from his house to wherever I was going, I was like, that dude's got it figured out. I was like, I need to be more like him.
100%.
Yeah. And it was just like,
100%
and I've talked to him like 2 or 3 times since then. And I'm just like, man, I love you, dude. Like I try to channel his energy when I'm working on something. It's just crazy that my programming was not what my default programming was like, that guy's not right. Let's change, like,
Yeah, well, we're entrepreneurial, and so
Yeah.
we're always looking. I think it's just something embedded in what we do. We're always popping our heads up looking at opportunities.
just because I'm good at something doesn't mean I need to turn it into a business.
But also, I also think this is part of you're and my both our DNA that we want to help people move forward.
Yeah.
And what you didn't realize was this dude knew exactly what he was doing, whether he stumbled into it or discovered it afterwards.
Yeah.
His core value was that this is fundamental belief. The thing that he did, not doing it for money, provided him more value
Right.
than doing it for money.
Yeah.
And that is kind of incredible.
It kind of is. It's super rare.
Incredible.
Super rare.
So
he's my mentor.
Yeah.
He doesn't know it. He doesn't know. He listens to the show once in a while. Randy, you're my mentor.
Man, Randy, congratulations.
No, he's awesome, man. It was like it kind of changed how I think about a lot of stuff.
So when I'm feeling burned out and like when I'm feeling like I am, embracing the hustle culture, I guess growth for me has been that I'm identifying it now as opposed to not.
I think that's the first step.
Yeah.
That's the first step with anything.
Yeah. But I mean,
I am a work
for me, that took time. It took years of
I wonder if there's like a 12-step program for workaholic.
I'm sure there is.
It's probably the same as the regular 12-step program.
I'm sure you can buy the book.
I mean, it's probably this 12-step program.
Anyway, what the fuck?
I mean, it's the same thing.
My point is, when I start realizing those times, I have to do something about it. And so like my default stuff was like running or, doing something to move my body. And that's great. But then, I looked up one day and I was like, I don't really have any hobbies. Like, yes, I spend time with my kid and I invest into him and I stay active, but like, I didn't have any like hobbies, like things I don't care about monetizing, things that I just do because they're purely for enjoyment.
Yeah.
And so my wife, Kat, and I, we're pretty active sort of real estate investors. It is less about building an empire of global real estate domination and more, I think we are both drawn to like transforming things. So as a result of that, I've had to get really good at a lot of shit related to DIY and renovation. So not only do I have every tool in the planet now,
you have every tool that I ever need,
but I've gotten better at like through trial and error, like doing stuff, like building. We were renovating a cabin a couple of years ago, and we built a mantle from scratch, like a whole fireplace thing.
I saw it. It was very cool. Good. Yeah, very cool.
And I have always found it interesting when I have to do something because it has a result, an end result. It feels like work. So like if the dryer breaks,
well, yeah,
and we have to wash clothes, right? Which you do. and it's an unknown thing. I like did some repairs to our dryer, like replaced a part, did some stuff. It was hard. It sucked. Our kid was younger. He was all over me. There wasn't enough time to just do it like to just think and explore through it. And then like it was like we need this done as soon as possible. It felt
I
like
had to dry
work.
these clothes.
It felt like work. But every time I get to tackle something that has nothing, like I don't need it by a certain time. So like I've been getting into woodworking, like crafting tables and benches and this sort of thing.
Oh, that's cool.
I stumbled into it because we needed to start doing some stuff for some of our properties, and we didn't want to spend $3,000 on whatever. So it still started in that we need it for a reason. But I have begun to evolve that and just kind of create stuff because I like it.
Yeah.
It is so different to do something because you just genuinely want to explore it.
Yeah.
And I hope y'all are listening to this. Find some stuff that you're genuinely interested in and just start fucking around with it. Make it and be intentional, make it a regular thing. Because if everything that you do has to be delivered or to a client or is a thing you have to do for your partner or is tied to money or fixing something that's broken, there's no fucking joy in that.
Yeah, no.
There's some like self-worth and accomplishing a goal, but there's no joy in that.
100%.
And I think this hustle culture mentality is that it is these things do not move you forward, right? Because they don't produce a result, an impact, an outcome, financial gain, whatever it is. And I think that's bullshit.
It is. It can be, for sure. I tell you, I bought a gym. Did you know that?
What?
So I own a gym.
I know that. Did you buy a new gym?
No, I only have the one.
Congrats. You bought a new gym.
So no.
Hey y'all, announcing second location.
No, it's never mind. Location. The only reason I did that was because you're talking about, you're getting into building furniture and stuff like that. For me, that's always been martial arts for the past 12 years, 15 years. Like, I like to train in that world. The only reason I kept the gym going and took it over was so that I had a place to teach people karate, martial arts. And I have since. So, you've got the gym's a business. If you don't have money that the people pay to come to the thing, it doesn't stay a business anymore and it goes away. So, like, you have to do certain things to keep it going. You have to pay the light bill, you have to pay the landlord, like basic shit. But I made a conscious decision because I had a conversation very similar to this, not specifically about hustle culture, but specifically about like turning your passion into a thing that then you become a slave to it because now it's a thing that makes money for you and you rely on that money. I specifically was like, I'm not doing that with this part of it with karate. Like, I don't want to market it. I don't want to sell it. If people want to do it, they're welcome to do it. But I ain't doing, that's not going to become a business. And it still hasn't. And I approach it differently than I do the other parts of that.
That's very kung fu.
Well, it wasn't my idea. I mean, someone was like, you should look at this.
But you know what I mean? Like, you built a company with all these things that have to happen with the end result of not so that it would financially sustain you, but so that you could do this thing every day that you loved. That is very different.
Yeah.
Very different. I think most people are like, they don't do it that way.
No. And I go to bed thinking about it and I wake up excited to do it.
That's,
yeah. And I'm like, I'm not really making any money from it at all. I don't care. It sustained that part of the one thing sustains that thing. And it's awesome. But I know the moment I turn the screws on it and I'm like, all right, I gotta learn how to monetize different pieces of it. And it's just going to ruin it. It's going to ruin it.
Take some of the joy out of it. Yeah. Somebody saw that I built this, so for this cabin that we finished, and we're done with the hard stuff, and now we're like making it cool and fun and like really hospitable. So I built. We follow this designer. Her name's Anna White. She's based out of Alaska, and her whole thing is like, Alaska doesn't have a lot of stuff. I couldn't find good furniture, so I just started making my own furniture.
Really don't.
And she's got great kits you can follow along. And essentially, she takes unique angles, or she riffs on like things you would see in like higher end furniture companies, like $3,000 tables with $1,000 benches. Oof. So we found this post. We were looking for a farmhouse table. I'd built one before, it was horrible. And I built another one. It got better. And then we found this design. It was just like incredibly durable, sturdy, visually,
Yeah.
it was beautiful. It was a $4,000 farmhouse table and bench combo from, I want to say one, like the refinery, one of these like high-end furniture companies that she said, here's a riff on it, and
Yeah.
you can do it for a lot cheaper. And so
Right.
I was like, okay, I got inspired. I'm like, I'm going to do this. So I went up to the cabin, took like 2 days off. It was 4 intense days of work, but it turned out fucking beautiful. Beautiful. Maybe I'll share the post with you, the link
Yeah.
to the
Put it in
Instagram
here.
post. And I got people that were like, dude, this
Yeah.
is incredible. Can you make one of these for me?
Like, no.
Can I pay you to make one of these for me? And I was like, huh, do I want to do that?
Mm-mm. But now you know why that stuff's so expensive.
Do I want to do that?
It's always made by a dude that's like, I don't know if I want to do it.
Yeah. Do I want to do that? I mean,
Yeah.
they were offering like
Yeah.
$2,500. And then I was like,
Why?
I don't want to steal the joy. I have so little stuff in my life that isn't tied to work.
Yeah.
Like I want this to be a thing that
You gotta protect it.
just me and my family get.
You have to protect it.
And I think this hustle culture epidemic,
Mhm.
this,
What's your side hustle?
yeah.
How many times you heard that?
And I think all those things are good. But I think again, we have to get back to why do we feel the need to work so hard here? What is
know.
driving that? And is that truly fundamentally what gives us purpose and meaning and value in our lives?
Mhm.
And if you are struggling with this, you listening, if you're like, man, I do not like what they're saying because it feels like they're talking to me, that's okay. It's okay to feel that way. Like,
Yeah. Oh yeah, sure. We all do.
lean into it.
Yeah.
Ask some hard questions. Why are you this way?
Yeah.
What's driving this? What's on the other side of this? Like, what really matters in your life? So, we talked at the beginning because we knew we were going to ramble a little bit with this one, y'all. We kind of came in like wanting to understand this better and talk through it because we want to talk through it on the air. But then we also agreed we want to try to like unpack some of the ways you could like tackle this.
Mm.
How can we fight whatever's pulling us to this incessant work obsession? We'll call it. That's a lot of big words in one sentence. How do we fight hustle culture inside of ourselves and in the places where we work with, whether we're solos or we're building companies or I work for a nonprofit or whatever it is. How can we fight this shit? How can we do something to make this not so, for those that are like, where it's like, God, this sucks. It's me.
Mhm.
How do we fight this?
Well, it's like you said. We've said. I think the first thing is you have to pay attention. It's like a little bit of self awareness goes a long way, right? Like, if you need help, if you need someone to help you think through this stuff, go pay someone to help you think through this stuff. There's lots of sources for that, but you can also just think about it. Like we've started a podcast. I don't know, whatever your therapy of choice is, but like you can
We've already established
think
it's
through it.
whiskey.
Yeah, maybe it is. Just think through it a little bit about maybe what's driving you to want to do this so much. We've explored that it's fear for a lot of what we're talking about. I'm sure that's a lot of it for you too. Dig into that.
Yeah.
Self-awareness is going to go a long way.
So just essentially just being present to the fact that it's happening.
I think so.
That
I think that's the first.
You might be caught up in it.
That's like the first step in any good 12-step thing is just to realize that don't just like live and suffer. You know what I mean? Like think about why are you suffering?
Yeah.
Like just think about why are you suffering? Let's start there.
It's like fundamentals.
Make a list.
I think the other thing you can do is if you are susceptible to this overworking hustle culture mentality, maybe surround yourself with some folks that aren't. So I have a good friend in my life
That's
now.
a great idea.
I have some good. So most of the time we're like peer mentoring. Great.
Yeah.
But is it really helpful if you surround yourself with a bunch of fucking workaholics?
It's like anti-peer mentoring.
Right.
Not really, but kind of.
Negative peer.
Yeah,
mentoring,
whatever.
right?
Yeah.
So I have this really good dad friend in my life. We started off because we had kids that were the same age. Um, and it has grown into, I mean, a really good, really healthy friendship.
Yeah.
And there are a couple of reasons that I really like this guy. I won't name him, but um, he works a regular job, so he's not like me.
Yeah.
He doesn't understand. He doesn't understand. And
Yeah,
I'm with entrepreneurs, business owners, founders, and self-employed people all day long, all
dude,
the time.
yeah, dude,
And he doesn't get it.
Yeah, dude, hang out with somebody like that.
He didn't get it.
After like 5 minutes, you are stretching to learn how to talk to that person.
Yeah, no.
Mhm.
So it has helped. It's been really healthy to have a
Mhm.
normal human in my life.
Yeah.
Our kids are the same age, so there's that connection, and we get to talk about not. We don't talk about work at all.
Yeah.
Everyone, like in the car rides when
Yeah, he doesn't give a shit. Yeah. Isn't that great?
yeah. So there's that, and this guy also. So his 9 to 5. He doesn't really. He's kind of into productivity, so he tries to work
Mhm.
as little as possible. He's
Yeah.
like me. So one could be like,
Well, see that?
one could say he's lazy, and I'm like
So let's
really intrigued by this idea.
let's talk about that for like 1 second.
Okay,
Productivity.
sure.
There was a note in here, toxic productivity. Productivity is so that you don't have to work as much. Like the whole genesis of that culture is so you could be more productive in the hours you work so you don't have to work the other hours. But we have bastardized it to be more productive so we can do more shit in more
Right.
time.
That
That's not the
yeah,
point.
y'all listen. Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that out there? Did you guys hear that?
That's not the point. The point of being productive is not so you can do more shit. The point of being productive is so you can do the shit you need to do in the least amount of time.
I mean, I don't know if everyone would agree with that. I agree.
No, I'm
with
saying
that. I stand with you.
we've
on that.
changed the definition of it.
So yeah, so this guy,
Yeah.
he's like,
how can I go home early?
how can I optimize my
Yeah,
day so that I can play more soccer,
Right.
so that I can spend more time with my son?
Yeah, right.
And he's also the other thing that is just very, for me, very intriguing. He doesn't love what he does. Like
Mm.
he doesn't
Sure.
view it through that lens.
Right.
Like he's not like, I'm passionate about this. I need to change the world through this thing that I do. He goes to work
He
and
lives in reality.
he's very good at what he does. He's very good at what he does, but he
Yeah.
doesn't assign that emotional connection
Right.
to his work. And so I found, and then on top of that, he's super stoic and logic driven, and he has an economics background. So like, it's very, very unique, and it's so valuable.
Yeah. Be like that guy.
I find myself saying, "Yeah, I should pick my kid up early today.
Yeah.
Why am I still
Right.
here?
I know.
Why am I still here?"
Yeah.
So get some people in your life that
Yeah.
are walking a different path, just for perspective, but also maybe the path that you wish you could walk. And it's that proximity principle. You will begin to absorb some of their characteristics.
For sure.
So there's that. So vacation. We should talk about this one. Listen, you got to work. We all have to work. Some of us choose to work. Some of us work for more money. Some of us work for less money. But if all you do is work, life's going to suck.
Yeah.
Even if you love what you do, like that's not how we're designed. So I think we got to get hobbies, y'all. We got to get things that
cool.
we value as equally as we value our work. And we have to be intentional about making time for those things. I'll tell you a story. So we have never had a vacation policy at SoCo. We've hardly ever needed one because it's been a very small team.
Right. Yeah.
But as we've grown, I made a conscious decision. One, I want to give credit to my wife, Catherine. We look at our son's school schedule, and then we're like, and she takes the initiative to start plotting out some time off.
That's how it works.
Some for her, some for us.
Yeah.
All that stuff. But so we kind of have vacation. We kind of know where we're going for the year. We try to figure out when and how to plan out one big trip. Not all the time. And some years we have said we don't have the bandwidth for this year.
Sure.
But we need to make it a priority going forward. Anyway, so kudos to her. She gets a lot of that organized, and it's incredible. I have found that very helpful. And then having it is something to look forward to. So I kind of love knowing that next week.
Yeah, right.
We're off on Friday and we're rolling up to Carowinds or to go on a overnight camping trip or what the fuck ever.
It helps make life tolerable.
It's
For
almost
sure.
it's almost like rest stops along your road trip. Like, good, you need those breaks, and they're built into the trip.
Yeah, that's good.
But I will tell you, this NPR article spurred some changes in how we look at stuff around here. Um, we had never had a time off policy. Essentially, it was like, take it when you need it, and let's try to figure out how to like get slightly ahead of when it's going to happen. And because that was so poorly defined, people weren't taking time off.
Mhm.
So so about 6 months ago, we implemented an official paid time off policy. It's pretty generous because we think that's important.
Yeah.
One of our values is you're no good to us if you're burned out,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Your whole self needs to be okay. So we put this policy in place, but that wasn't good enough. What I have found is that people still feel this like this pull. I got to be here. I got to support the team. We're growing. And I'm
Mhm.
like, man, I like growth, but I don't like that
Yeah.
reason for not taking time off. So what we have instituted is once a quarter, we plan, just sort of like honoring what worked for our family. We plan out when everyone's taking off
Yeah, that's cool.
for the team, for the company.
Right. You're small enough where you can do that.
Yeah.
You should totally take advantage of it.
And it has really,
Yeah.
it has helped us. I think it has helped people feel okay hearing like their boss, which is a laughable term for me, but like a colleague or a peer to be like, when are you taking time off?
So
We need to put it on the schedule.
I find that I invoke the bureau a lot on this when we talk. They uncover, like I say, the whole Slack people, everyone in that Slack, they discovered after a while that they were all doing like unlimited, like you've studied this. There's like
Yep.
unlimited vacation, right?
Yep.
And it's like, what do we do? If, it's unlimited. They don't like have a policy necessarily. If you want to take 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you tell your boss and they work it out and you do it. The Everyone who was running the businesses was like, I'm being generous. You have basically unlimited PTO, right? You can take care of whatever you need to do. We're not going to, check days off on a calendar and you run out and you got to work out the rest of the year. They thought they were being gracious, but they found out that pretty much 99% of the people that work for them saw it as them taking advantage of them because they didn't actually give them rules. They were like, well, you're just trying to trick us into staying here all the time.
And,
So they saw it as value, and the people working there saw it as like, you're trying to trick me.
and then there's the other thing of like, you need to plan for this stuff as an organization. And, as a business
Well, it was
owner,
funny
I
after.
bet most of those business owners were like, I'm doing a good thing. And on my,
Yeah, right.
on my shoulders, like I'm working
Yeah.
extra time.
Yeah, right.
And so it doesn't help anybody. And I think it's bullshit, to be honest,
It
because what it
came
doesn't
off that
fix
way.
is the underlying conditions under
Mhm.
which someone chooses or the underlying level of comfort someone feels that they are able to take time off.
Well, you're doing it with SoCo, as they dug into it as a company problem to solve, they uncovered the same thing, was that they had to actually force, uh, a wide girth of their employees. They had to force them to take time off.
Yeah. So back on that NPR,
'Cause they wouldn't.
Yeah. So back on the NPR story, I think that's where this idea of like a national mandate for vacation in European
Yeah.
countries,
Yeah.
for example, comes from. Like, that's what we had to do here. We had to mandate it. We had to say, we had to do everything we could to be like, when are you not
Well,
going to be
dude, we
here,
had
dude?
to in this country, we had to fight for 2 days off a week.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
But you know what I mean? Like on a micro level, on a small 4-person team,
Yeah. You can do it.
we had to say,
Yeah.
taking time off is important.
Yeah.
Listen to my words.
Yeah.
We're going to meet on it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to make it a part of our
make it
planning.
happen.
We're going to make it a part of our planning.
Yeah.
Planning for time off, not only because we need you to be healthy, but we also need to talk about it. So when you go out, we can handle it.
Right.
So
you can actually be off.
Yeah. So I think that is a really, there's some tangible ways that you in your business, whether you're a business owner, a team leader, right, or just self-employed, right, you're doing the hustle thing. Look at it.
Yeah.
Are your people well? Really?
Yeah. Really.
Are they well?
Yeah.
Do they feel supported?
Yeah, they probably aren't.
They're almost assuredly not
They're
well.
probably not. Yeah.
And yeah, it's a hard thing. I get it. I get it. Like we have a small team, and 2 of our team members pretty much went out back to back
Yeah.
on maternity leave. We didn't have a policy for that either. So we made one up and it sucked.
Yeah.
That period, that season, the burden was on me
Yeah.
for a lot of stuff. And, and there's a moment where we were like, can we afford this? Can we actually afford this? Or is this going to like crush us? And it didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, when all it was all said and done, it didn't fucking matter, because what's right
Yeah.
is that a parent with a new child gets to take time to build a relationship with that child.
For sure.
Work should never take first seat over that.
Right.
Regardless of how painful financially or otherwise it would be. That's fucking bullshit. But you know what? I talked to colleagues and friends, right, that run more successful, larger companies, and they have policies that are shit. Because they have this scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
This mentality where they're like, I need this person here or this company won't run. Right. I need to extract productivity out of them.
Right. Right.
It's a distraction to have a kid.
Well, it's the corporate mindset of,
but it's bullshit.
People are production hours. Yeah.
It's bullshit. Sorry, I'm getting fired up, y'all. Like,
hey.
Yeah, do we make more money than someone else? No. Do these things cut into our bottom line? Yes. But we're running an organization full of humans that need to be fucking well.
Yeah. It's important. I mean, if it's important to you, you got to actually do it.
Well, yeah. Fair point.
Yeah. I mean,
so what else? I mean, what else can people do if they feel like they're either in a workplace that is where hustle culture is the, sort of the reigning factor, or if they are struggling with this inside their own existence? What can they do? What else?
I think on a personal level, something that I've been really working on is it's saying no more often. Just like, because that and that is definitely a growth versus not a growth, like abundance versus scarcity mindset. Because a lot of times as a entrepreneur or business owner or whatever, or hustler, whatever you want to call it, you feel like you have to say yes to a lot of things so that you have a lot of activity happening, And I think getting into that mindset of like, well, I can say no to this thing that doesn't meet, whatever criteria, these 4 criteria things that I set up. Like, don't meet that, then I can say no to it and feel okay. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's probably important to learn how to do that. I mean,
so
are you good or bad at saying no or yes to things? I mean,
I'm getting better.
I went through a period where I said yes to everything.
Yeah, I don't. That doesn't bother me as much. I feel like part of my job is to serve, right? And I think part of my job as a boss is to be present, available for people, like to support the team as we design better systems and better approaches, and design myself out of the business. I think it's important if you're struggling with this. Yeah, I think it's important to.
Well, now there
recognize
are people you have to say yes to. I mean, if
course.
you're running an organization, your employee needs to ask you something to a certain degree. You need to be present for that person. I'm talking about like, you were talking about not turning a hobby into a business, like all the extracurricular shit that we do as business owners and people trying to start up new shit. Like,
I think it's important to value your time.
Yeah,
I think that it is
absolutely
it is a finite resource. I think it's important to value your time. I'm struggling answering this question because honestly, I think every opportunity to say yes, every time you say yes to something, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity.
That's what I'm talking about. Me too.
It's an opportunity.
I think that too.
So I don't view it as like, God, another stupid request for whatever.
I don't see it like that either. You think you have to create some kind of filter of like, I can't do that.
But you have boundaries and you're really good at that.
Well, thank you.
Also,
I try.
You're much more creative than I am. So, I mean, I think you need to protect that time. That creative time is how you make money. It's how you create value for a lot of the things that we do together. And I think that's different. That you should fiercely protect that. But I do think, so in business, I like saying yes. I think yes opens doors.
Right.
Where I think we all need to get better is establishing boundaries between work obligations and personal, family, and self-care obligations. And we sure shit need to figure out what it will take to make those other things, I even use the right words, the other things, the non-work things, to make them equally as valuable in your life. And then once you figure that part out, I think saying no becomes a lot easier.
I think it does, for sure.
why so many people put these things secondary, I don't know, but
Yeah.
you, these things, having dinner with your family,
It's very important.
taking a walk with your partner, um, date nights, which I suck at, uh, running,
Yeah.
self-care, mindfulness. These aren't things that you need to do so you can cope with the rest of the things in your life. They're the things that will make you complete. And work is a component of that.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to stop making work the thing that gets all the attention and all the time. And I'm talking to myself. And if y'all are looking at me and you're feeling it too, I'm talking to you. It's not cool.
No, it's not.
It's not fair. It's not right. And it doesn't, it does not honor the other people and things in your life that give you meaning. Shit, man, I'm fired up.
You're fired up?
I am fired up.
You go do some work?
No.
You gonna go for a run?
Yes.
I'm not gonna run. I'll run later. I think that's a good place to wrap up.
I think we should talk more about this later, like another
Sure.
episode.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really interesting to talk to some actual humans
I'm
about
interested.
their why.
I'm interested. Yeah.
And about their takes on this.
I could think of a few people that would be interesting to talk to, find out why they're doing the things they're doing.
And then I think it'd be really interesting. And this is actually one of those, again, like to my good friend. I think it would be interesting to hear from some folks that are not in the hustle culture.
Wouldn't that be funny to have like
a battle,
like a mechanic, like to sit there and then be like, "What is wrong with you?"
You think it would just be completely like, I don't this
It would just be like,
compute to me.
they'd be like, "Dude, what are you doing?"
But maybe that's a really interesting, refreshing perspective on the world.
I've got friends that people I know and friends that are like that, and they're just like, "Why are you like? Why are you like you are?" I'm sorry, man.
All right, can we close with a joke?
Sure.
So here's my hustle culture joke. So I've been reading some books. Well, I've been exploring anger management. Right, I can get fired up pretty.
That would be a
pretty
great
easily.
topic, by the way.
Anyway, I read this book that my good friend our good friend John Wilkinson gave me. He is probably one of the people I would want to talk to about like balance and wellness.
He is like Buddha.
Anyway, it's called Anger, cooling the flames. And one of the things, and it's written by this like Thai Buddhist monk. And one of the things in the book that so I was like, this is back before I was like a little more centered and calmer, as 5-6 years ago. A kinder, gentler Greg is who you're talking to now. Anyway, one of the things in the book was slow the fuck down. Slow down.
Yeah.
Slow down. And so he was like, I have a practice for you. It's called slow eating. I want you to chew every piece of food 100 times.
Could you do it?
Why? And there's all the unpacking, the why.
Dude, that is actually
nutritionally more efficient. You extract more nutrients.
That is a meditation practice.
Yes.
Could you do it?
I could not. I did it a couple of times, and then I went back to scarfing my food. Yeah. But it's just like for me, like a fucking hilarious analogy of
eating like a boa constrictor.
The difference.
Yeah.
Between this like hustle culture mentality and then like this moment in time, this life that we have. These
I feel like there's a book out there that's like Eat Slow.
Yeah, it's a whole book.
Like
it's
a
whole movement.
Book.
It's a whole movement. But anyway, I thought you'd find that fascinating. I tried to slow down my eating and it failed miserably.
No, that's the joke.
Yeah,
that's a good joke.
It's not a good joke.
It's a good joke for those that know you.
Sorry, y'all.
All right, man. Well, slow down, and we'll see you next time.
Cheers.